When I turned 40, my social media feed changed. I've always gotten some advertisements for yoga and other fitness products and programs. I'm a yoga teacher, so I'm a good target for those kinds of ads. Likewise, I've always seen at least like a handful of ads for makeup and hair products, but it seemed like the very first day of my 40th year, when I opened up Instagram, a new regime was in charge. The advertisements I saw were all about holding off the aging process, ads that tried to convince me that my body's hormones are now wrong and I need to fight them. Ads for wrinkle-reducing ointments, programs guaranteed to help me lose weight via some sort of weird aging body math, ads for diets that are guaranteed to give me more energy like I need a lot of that, ads for shapewear, products that encase the human body in uncomfortable, tight-fitting, sausage casing-like garments that are meant to squish me into a more socially acceptable shape. It was honestly overwhelming, and in the face of that onslaught, I did wonder, am I okay? Is this what people talk about? Am I broken now? Is this the thing that I hear the other women discussing, that at some point we're no longer deemed worthy of love? And despite my better judgment, I found I was looking more closely at my wrinkles. This past winter, I started back in therapy. It had been many years, but my father's death, on top of the isolation of the pandemic, had turned a normally manageable level of depression into something that was anything but that. I just wasn't coping anymore. And one of the things that came up in my sessions was that I was having a hard time feeling good about my body. Like most of us, I put on some pandemic weight. On top of that, I broke my ankle the day of my father's memorial service. So 3 months off my feet cost me some strength and flexibility and added more weight. However, like most people in our culture, rather than honor the fact that I had just been pulled through the ringer, I turned inward and I started to have some self-esteem issues. So my therapist started me on one of the books we're talking about today, The Body is Not an Apology. I can't recommend that book or the workbook that goes along with it highly enough. There are dozens of brilliant ideas and revelations in the book. The one I want to share with you today has to do with what author Sonia Renee Taylor calls the body shame profit complex. Every day, we are drowned in a tidal wave of messaging that our bodies are not okay. Now, this takes overt forms like the ads I saw on my social media feeds when I turned 40, but it's also present in more subtle ways. When we look at the heroes on television and in movies, they're presented as slender and athletic and young. And when the good guys don't look like us, we take a message from that, whether we realize it or not. Women in their 40s, like me, tend to be portrayed as no longer desirable. We're the bad guys, or the nagging wife, or the jealous older woman. And when we do connect to our sexuality, it's mocked. We're called cougars or pumas, and there's a thread of messaging that we should not be dressing in ways that draw attention to our bodies. There is no way to win here. No matter what we do, the message from the body shame profit complex is consistent. Our bodies are wrong. I consider myself pretty lucky in that I grew up in a hippie household. My parents did their best to protect my sister and I from the complex. But unless you're willing to completely separate yourself from society and move off into the woods somewhere all alone, which is admittedly tempting, it's impossible to escape the deluge of messaging. And despite my parents' very best efforts, the message that I am not worthy enough as I am did get through to me. There are powerful tools within the body is not an apology, to begin reclaiming our body sovereignty, to recognize when the body shame profit complex is sending us a message, and to develop constructive responses to that messaging. Through inquiries and prompts for consideration, Sonia Renee Taylor helps us unpack the messaging we internalized about both our bodies and the bodies of others. Through simple and effective tools, she helps us begin the journey toward a healthy relationship with our bodies, ours and other people's. I still have hard days when it comes to my body. But underneath all that habitual thinking, a new way of looking at the world is emerging. A pride in myself, a better love of and appreciation for all the bodies around me, and a rejection of the billionaires who try to profit off of my pain and self-doubt. I don't see as many ads now. I've had a good time reporting all the ones that show up on my social feed as offensive. And it's because they are. I am the most beautiful I have ever been right now. And and I will always be the most beautiful I have ever been in the future. There is nothing wrong with my body.